Hello and welcome to Knit Tea Live. I am here. I'm hoping others arrive. Before every Knit Tea Live, it's always like, oh my gosh, I hope people come. If you are here and you are watching, as always, welcome. So glad you could be here live. If you're watching on replay, so glad that you have made time in your day to watch, and you can find timestamps down in the description box. I do put those in after the live stream. And of course, I don't know how this is sounding to all y'all. So if there's any audio problems, please let me know in the chat so I can hopefully fix it. Hello, Giuliani. Welcome, Evie. So glad that you're here today. And we also have Jen B Makes. Welcome. Oh, yes, Jen B Makes. Making sure I read that correctly. As we get started, don't forget, please do the YouTube things. Like, if you're not already subscribed. Double check that you're subscribed if you think that you're subscribed. And hit that notification bell. Because when you click the notification bell, you sometimes get notified whenever I start a live stream or upload a new video. I do still upload new videos. I know it hasn't been as frequent. So yeah, welcome. I'm very excited for today's this month's live stream. Did I do one earlier this month? Guys, this year is just going by so fast. Like July, I feel like is blink and you miss it. I know it was only a couple of weeks ago that I did a live stream. I'm trying to get back into at least doing a live stream monthly. But yeah, really wanted to do a live stream this weekend because I don't know when I'm going to have a chance later on this month. But anyway, thought I'd show you something real quick because I'm about to take a sip of coffee. I have a new coffee cup, new travel coffee mug. Don't have the Contigo one. The Contigo one, which I do love dearly, the cap on the top of it finally gave up life. The mechanism gave up life, and my husband, who's very much a coffee snob aficionado, he got a travel mug that has a ceramic lining, and he was like, Carrie, the coffee tastes so much better, it tastes so much cleaner. I was like, okay, fine, I'll get one, and he was right. So this is Funk Rin, if you really love coffee and you want a travel mug that has a ceramic lining, this works really well. Is it as great as my Contigo? But it's good. It's a good mug. All right. So let me look at my outline so that I don't get too like squirrel, as I tend to do. Did that. Oh, yes, before I forget, super chats are on. If you'd like to leave me a tip, if you're watching on replay, you can leave me a super thanks. And of course, down in the description box, not right now, because I haven't actually put in all the stuff with my description that I usually do, but after the live stream, all my affiliate links and Ko-fi and all that will be down the description box. If you utilize a tip mechanism or you utilize one of my affiliate links, thank you so much. It's so greatly appreciated. All those tips and commissions do get reinvested back in the channel. Okay, got all the legal stuff out of the way. So I'm very excited about today's live stream. Okay, maybe I'm always excited about my live streams. That's a fair commentary there. But what I have planned today is a topic. I think it's a fun topic. It's one that is meant to be fun. And this weekend on Twitter, yesterday actually, I put up a question, which are like, what are the knitting, crochet, although really it's expanded into what are the yarn wrangling activity tropes that need to die, that need to go away, that we need, just let's stop with it already. So and there were so many interesting answers, so many great answers. It's definitely some themes came up. And so I'm gonna just talk about it today. Would love to hear your thoughts. Love to hear what tropes you think are tired, outdated. Let's retire them. Let's, let them lay. Let the sleeping dog lay. Is there any other thing that I can come up with, metaphor? But that's going to be the topic for today. Also, today's live stream, we are going to have a very special designer spotlight. Hunter Hammersen, who of Pantsville Press, who is a longtime knitwear designer in Maine. She is making a bold change to her business plan. She has literally hundreds of patterns have been available from her, and in her entire catalog is going to be 40% off until tomorrow. And then she's discontinuing most of them. She is going to pick a few to bring back for people to purchase, but she is basically reducing the size of her catalog, and she has a whole blog post about it and stuff. And so we're going to look at her patterns and see what we might want to get while we can, because there's no guarantee that it's going to come back. And plus it's 40% off, so it's not a bad time. Not a bad time to pick up a pattern if you like her work. So we're going to do that today. Also, I have some whips to show off. I have a new, I don't want to say toy, I have a new thing that I'm going to show you. And yeah, we're just going to have some fun and try to keep this to an hour because, frankly, busy weekend. Every weekend is busy when I'm working. I'm still working at the Pancake, by the way. Okay, so let's start with what I've been working on this past few weeks since the last live stream. And please, in chat, let me know where you are from and what you've been working on. Let's share our makes. Speaking of makes, how do people feel about that term makes? I've had very mixed feelings about the whole thing about makes and maker and projects and why some of this terminology might be coming about, but that's probably a bit more in depth. Maybe I'll save that for the next Knit Tea Live. But let's look at our projects. Let's look at my projects in progress. Nothing finished yet. But first I'm going to show you this. I can't remember if I showed this on the last live stream or not. I don't remember. But I have this project going on here. This is a dish towel that I am making. I will hold it up closer to camera. There we go. That's upside down. Upside down. Here we go. Here is my dish towel that I'm working on. A little bit of curl is happening here on the bottom. I started this with a garter stitch border, but I didn't put much of a border in. But I'm debating whether I'm going to let this flip up and hem it down, or if I'm going to block this, because I think I can get the curl out through pin blocking. A lot of times with cotton, I can't do that. I can get curl out with natural fibers by doing a pin block. Yes, that is possible. But this is a dish towel that a hand towel that I'm making. I don't want to say a dish towel because I'm debating whether I want to put this in a bathroom or have it in the kitchen. But the way this all came about, I wanted to knit something, but I had been feeling like I had been losing a little bit of my knitting mojo. If you follow my channel, you have seen me work on these dishcloths that I make all the time, these flat medallion dishcloths. But I was like, I don't want to make another one. I want to knit a dish towel. I'll knit a dish towel. I'll knit a seed stitch dish towel. I don't know what possessed me to cast on for a seed stitch hand towel, but I thought I'll make one with brown and pink borders, and I won't hate the seed stitch for miles and miles the way I would normally. Reality came quick and fast. So I changed it. I left some seed stitch in it, but then I started doing a different stitch pattern with something called bead stitch. There's some pictures up on my Instagram where you can see what that looked like. But I was going along, I was like, I don't like it. I'm not loving it. And so I frogged the whole thing. I got out my ball winder, I got out my Nosta pin, and I frogged the whole thing. And I started over, and I just started flipping through one of my my Barbara Walker stitch pattern books, and I came across this slip stitch pattern right here. This is called slip stitch chain, and I was like, yes, I am feeling this. So I started making it, and I really enjoyed it. I've really, really enjoyed it. And one of the things I did with this, as I'm working on it, on the back, notice, or let me show you this. Notice the side here, I have this border I'm working, and then I have this slip stitch pattern here, right? So the slip stitch, this pink stripe isn't going right to the edge. The way that I'm doing that is I'm basically using intarsia. So I got a separate supply of yarn for this side and used intarsia to switch colors, do the little bit of border, and then switch the colors back. And so yeah, which was a nice way to use up some very small balls of brown yarn that I had from the initial frogging that I did. So I'm actually enjoying this now, although now I'm into the miles and miles of stockinette because this is just gonna be on either end of the towel, but that's okay. Sometimes I like having just a plain kind of stockinette pattern to work on. It's kind of a nice distraction type knitting project, something that you don't have to pay too close attention to as you're working it. And I have a trip coming up, a family vacation coming up in a couple of weeks, and this will probably be the project I bring with me. So, oh, you can see the back of it. The back's kind of pretty too. I mean, minus all the string hanging off the back. You can see here where I had to join, right there. You can see right there where I had to join in a new yarn, but yeah, it's kind of pretty. Let's see. Kathleen, so much successful knitting is about feeling an emotional rightness about all the different elements, you know? Yes, I totally agree, Kathleen. And I think the other thing about it, which I think is a really important lesson, which is if you are not enjoying the project that you are working on, stop. We are not obligated. We are knitting for ourselves at the end of the day, right? And we are not obligated to finish a project that we are not enjoying. Life is too short to work on stuff that we don't enjoy. So the yarn wasn't meant to be, this yarn was not meant to be a C-stitch dish towel. I never need to worry about wanting to do that project again. But this, I'm enjoying quite a bit. And it's actually inspiring a video because I think I'm going to do a video on patterns that are really great for scrap yarn or the little leftover balls of yarn, because this type of stitch pattern, right? This kind of slip stitch chain is fantastic if you have just a little bit remnant of a ball left. It's fantastic for this type of thing. And you can create a really nice little detail with it. And you don't even need a pattern to do it. You know, if you have a stitch dictionary, you can work a lot of that out. But yes, yeah, Carrie. Oh, do you really want me to sing right now? I could. Don't work on projects you don't enjoy. So yes, but I'm really enjoying this nice little bit of just kind of easy, mindless knitting. So that's my mindless knitting project right now. This other project I'm about to show you, you have seen before, but I wanted to show you my progress on it. And this is my half hap fade shawl by Lavish Designs. I finished it yesterday, actually a couple days ago, and started the next section, but I finished this section of the lace pattern. If you don't know what this is a lace shawl pattern that is inspired by hap shawls from the Shetland Islands. It's a half hap. Traditional hap shawls are actually square lace shawls. This one is a triangular one. And it's made up of different sections of lace pattern. So it started with this triangle here of lace knitting, and then it goes into this next section of lace knitting, which is this kind of like back and forth zigzag lace pattern. There. Okay, now you should be able to see it better, as well as you can for unblocked lace. So I finished this section, and I'm now starting the next section of lace. I think, I don't have the app up. I don't have the pattern in front of me. But I think there's 5 or 6 sections of lace, different lace patterns together on this. The pattern originally was designed actually for like mini skeins of yarn. So the pattern can be worked so that each section of lace is its own color, but I decided to do a solid lace one. And this yarn, if you remember or if you've watched, this yarn is a Angora merino blend. It's a sock yarn. Unfortunately, it's called Angora lace. Unfortunately, this yarn is discontinued, but they still have it available on webs. But I have a whole video where I talk about working with Angora fiber for the first time, and this is the project that I used for that video. So I am making progress. I probably will not bring this on my trip. I could. It's small enough, but I don't know. Lace knitting is not something I want to do on vacation. What I need to do is insert another lifeline. That's what I need to do right now. Yes. Got a little laughter for the singing. That was not my best singing ever. I can sing, just not on live stream well. Yes. But if you watch any of my videos, you know that I have been known to break out into song every once in a while because I do believe that life should be a musical. All right, so those are the two whips on hand. They're not my only whips. Those are just the two I wanted to show today because I had more progress on them. But yeah, that is the whips. So with that being said, are we ready for today's hot topic? Yes. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about tropes. Oops, sorry, I'm getting alerts. I should turn... How do you do it? I should turn off do not disturb on my computer so I stop getting alerts, but I can't remember how to do it. So I guess I won't be doing that right now. All right, let me make sure I have my screen share. Do I need my screen share for this? Oh, I will need my screen share for a little bit of this. All right, so, okay. As I said earlier, sorry, I have to get to my correct computer screen. There we go. As I said earlier, I was on Twitter. Don't know why it came. Actually, I do know why it came up. I'd seen a post. Somebody had tweeted about how, they had hidden a recent purchase. Squishy mail had arrived, and they had hidden it from their significant other. And I was like, oh, God, there's a joke that needs to go away. And so I put out on Twitter the question, what are the knitting crochet tropes that need to die? Excuse me, 1 second. I'm getting a little phlegmy. Nobody needed to hear me clear the sinus there. Allergies have been real bad for me this summer. Anyway, so I asked the question. I got a lot of great answers. And so as we go along, I want to hear from you what tropes you think are just tired and outdated. We can have a whole conversation. If you're watching on replay, you can still be part of the conversation in comments because I do read through comments. And yeah, let's have a great conversation about this. Well, I might as well I'll change up the order. I was going to start with something else, but I'm going to start with this because I already mentioned it, and it was my immediate answer, which was basically stash shame. I'm going to put it under the header of stash shame. Of being ashamed of our stashes and ashamed, oh, I got to hide my purchases from my significant other. If my partner only knew how much I just spent on this yarn, right? They don't know about the bags of yarn under the stairs, whatever it is. The secret stash. There's a couple of reasons why I think this joke needs to go away. One is, I don't think it's a great commentary on marriages, right? There's something about this where it's gosh, no, you're hiding your craft from your significant other. They're not supporting you in your craft. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky with my husband where if I go, honey, I want to try something new and I can get the tools for it off of Amazon Marketplace. Are you okay if I disappear for the next 3 hours so I can drive down to the ocean to go get this thing? Believe it or not, this is actually based on a true story. I'm vaguing it a little bit because I'm going to talk about it later. But anyway, my husband will be like, yeah, sure, no problem. Do what you got to do. Just don't make me go to the craft store with you. That's all I ask. All my husband asks is I don't force him to go to the craft store with me. And that's fine because nobody enjoys that. He's miserable. I'm worried about him being miserable. I don't want him to come with me to the craft store, frankly, because no one's happy in that. Right? Okay, no. So, anyway. And so I sit there and I see people who are like, oh, I have to hide this from my husband or my wife or my partner. And I'm just like, I'm sorry that I'm sorry your partner is not like enabling you. But the other thing about it, and I go back to this, is I feel like there's like this like certain amount of stash shame. Like we're supposed to be embarrassed by how much we love yarn. And I'm like, no, this is a passion of ours. This is something we should be flying our stash flag proudly. Like the fact is we can't bust through a stash that doesn't exist. And without purchasing yarn, we can't make the various things. Now, I understand that sometimes a stash can get out of control. We've all have been guilty. Most of us have been guilty of falling in love with a yarn with no clue what it is, what we want to do with it. And we kind of sit around and wait for inspiration to strike where we say, yes. Or we have found that yarn, usually novelty, that we're like, oh, that's so cool. And then we get it and then we have no idea what to do with it. And the projects that we see for it don't really speak to us. And then we're sitting there going, what do I do with this yarn? But I think overall, we should not be embarrassed by our stashes. We should, wave our stash flag proudly, as I say, because at the end of the day, it is something that brings us joy. If we make something for someone else, it has brought them joy, hopefully. And the other thing is, even if you have a stash that is, what's it called? Stable, which is like stash something beyond life expectancy. Like you have a stash so large, you'll never get through it all. All that means is that we are leaving a trail of fiber for the generation behind to follow. They get to enjoy that. They can pick up where we have left off. Like none of it has to go to waste. Now, I know people have different feelings about stash, and you should absolutely have the stash of yarn that is comfortable to you, that brings you joy. If it's too much, it's too much. Don't buy anymore. But if you're someone where it's like, oh, I really want that yarn, as long as you're still able to take care of your life necessities, I say enjoy it, embrace it, don't hide it. Like there's no need to hide any of this, But I think there's something else too, and this just struck me. It's also sort of like embarrassment that we actually have a passion for something that is just for ourselves, right? And, oh, daughter's in the hallway, you might hear her. But, yeah. I mean, it's just like, I think sometimes, and this will get into something else, not that only women work with fiber in our yarn wranglers, not by any stretch of the imagination, but it is still very much seen as a woman-dominated craft, a woman-dominated area, and I think so often as women, we feel like we're not supposed to be able to really enjoy anything wholly for ourselves, Like, it's not okay for us to purchase something just because we enjoy it, And it's like, no, we're allowed to enjoy things. We do all sorts of amazing things in this world. We are allowed to enjoy our things. So, Jillian, sometimes I buy something for my stash just because I want to support a small business too. Absolutely, absolutely. There are times that I've bought patterns just because I want to support that designer. And same with yarn. In fact, there's something recently I purchased mostly just because I wanted to support the Etsy store. I think it was my belt shuttle, because I've done a little bit of tablet weaving and I kind of wanted a belt shuttle, which is like it's like a stick shuttle, but it has a sharpened edge so you can beat against the weft with it. And I was like, I want to support this store and I've been wanting this thing and it's not that expensive. So I'm just going to get it. So, as we bring joy into our lives, we can help spread joy too. I will say, with that being said, though, I do think for myself personally, I'm definitely being a little bit more discretionary with my purchases in the sense of like, is this a yarn that I really want to work with? You know, I think in the past I got a little suckered into buying things because they were on sale. And I was like, I'll figure out something for this, but how can I pass up this deal? And now I can look a little bit more at the yarn and go, this is not a yarn I'm going to enjoy. I'm not going to purchase it just because. Okay, so if nobody has something else to say, let's move on to the next big one. Like this was, I would say this was probably the number one thing that people talked about. The number one answer. I didn't do a scientific survey and count everything up, but my overall impression. Oh, hello, Katura. This perpetuates any other stereotype that married women are just spending their husband's money. Yes, Katura. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. In fact, I have a story about that. This was quite a while ago. This was quite a few years ago now that this happened. But I was at a family event with extended family, and I was with one of my cousins. And we were sitting around chatting, and somehow my knitting came up and purchasing something. And my cousin said, how do you feel that she's spending all your money on this? To my husband. Now, she didn't know our financial situation, which at that time, I was actually the one working. My husband was at home. And that's fine. That's something that we trade off because we're both freelancers. Not that I have to defend this anyway. Everybody has different financial arrangements in their family, but it's not traditional how we manage all that. But anyway, and I just went, I was like, what do you mean? I'm spending my money, which was true. It was, I work. And this is something like from my pot of like discretionary spending. I was like, why this assumption that I haven't earned this yarn that I'm working with? And I'm not judging anybody else's lifestyle choices when it comes to, partnerships and financial arrangements, but it is this thing where it's like if you are a stay-at-home mother or wife, and it's like you somehow are contributing less to the household because you don't necessarily bring in a paycheck, and it ignores all the domestic contributions that the person taking care of the lion's share of the domestic work is contributing to the family. And it's sexism. It's patriarchy. It's sexism. It's yucky. Anyway, so speaking of sexism and patriarchy and yucky, let's get to what I think was the number one theme I saw, which was that needs to go away. Knitting is for grannies, uncool grannies. Okay, we've talked about this before. We will probably talk about it again because this is a stereotype that just doesn't want to die. It's like a zombie, just always comes back, always comes back. But knitting is for every year. Every year there's an article in the media where it's like, knitting's not just for grannies anymore. And it's like, the thing that bothers me about this stereotype is not that something I do is being equated with being a granny. Because let's face it, being a grandmother is an amazing thing. To have reached that stage in life, to have raised children to a point where they are now having children is an amazing accomplishment that should be celebrated. But we live in a very youth-centered culture here in the United States. And so grannies are considered uncool. In the cool culture of the United States, grannies generally are not considered cool. But there really is sort of both a sexism and an ageism to the stereotype. The sexism is anything that an older woman, well, it's sexism and ageism together, but anything a woman does is inherently invaluable. And if it's an older woman doing it, it's sort of quaint and can be discarded. And it's just, again, it's ageist and it's sexist. I keep going back to that because that's what it is. It's ageism and sexism. But the other thing too about it is let's be honest, whenever anybody brings up the stereotype, the image of the granny that people have in their head is not what grandmothers are today. It is the image of like a woman in the 1800s sitting in a rocking chair with lace around her neck, knitting, which is like, what grandmother is that? Even if it's mostly older women today who are knitting, like, I don't know if you checked out older women today. Let me tell you something. Older women today are living full lives. Full lives. It's not just sitting in their rocking chair waiting to die. like, who are these grannies that they think are so uncool? But even like my grandmothers, they were cool. I had fun with my grandmothers growing up. Like, my grandmother on my mom's side, Rosie, oh my God, she was a hoot. She was a personality and a half. She had more personality than really one human body should be able to contain. Don't tell me my grandmothers weren't cool. And it was Rosie who inspired me to learn how to knit. She was the knitter. My granny, my dad's mother was the crocheter. My grandmother, my mom's mom, Rosie, she was the knitter. She was the one who knitted the dishcloths. That's why I always knit the dishcloths, is for my grandmother. So, yes, grannies are cool. Grandmothers, yes, they knit. But here's the other thing. When do you think they learned to knit? I'm going to let you in on a little secret if people don't know this. We know this. We as knitters know this, right? It's not like we hit menopause and we magically we magically are able to knit. Most people learn to knit when they're young. Either they learn it as a child, or maybe they learn it in their teens or early 20s. I was in my early 20s when I learned how to knit. Most people are actually pretty young when they learn how to knit. And as they continue growing, they continue knitting, and when you hit the retirement years, you have more time to knit. But most people who learn how to knit, who learn how to crochet, spin, weave, all those things actually start pretty young. So why do we keep having this stereotype that only old people knit and that it's dying? It's not dying. It's a $1 billion industry. Yarn is a $1 billion industry. It's not a dying craft. Okay. So we need to retire it. It's not going to be retired anytime soon, unfortunately, even though it should. Already, I know there have been headlines this year about, the knitting has been rediscovered by the cool kids, that it's revived. It's not just for grannies anymore, that whole thing. And next year, there will be the new article from somebody who has discovered knitting for the first time and has decided it's not for grannies anymore and will confuse it with crochet because they don't actually understand the difference between knitting and crochet. And yeah. And they don't do their research, and they're going to fall back on this tired trope. And I will be here, hopefully, still complaining about this trope. All right. The other corollary to this trope, by the way, is that only women knit, crochet, spin, etc., etc. No, lots of men do all these things. This is not a gendered activity, okay? It's not like that. What was the old thing? I don't even know if it's true about how only women could do this thing of like leaning over against a wall and picking up a chair, something. Knitting, crochet, none like that at all. Anybody can do it. Any human being with, can do this. It is not just for women. And it's not. The other half of that, though, is that knitting isn't suddenly okay and cool and respectable and valuable just because a dude is doing it. That's the sexism part about it. Like, men who knit are cool and should not be looked at askance. And the other half of that is when men do come out of the knitting closet or the crochet closet, and that doesn't suddenly make them the best knitter or crocheter ever. There is this thing where as soon as a man enters the arena on anything that has been female dominated, suddenly it has been given validity. And that's, again, patriarchy and sexism. Let's see. My favorite thing is when people say knitting is for grannies, but then their hobbies are just like watching Netflix, as if that's so much better. We're going to get you something that's going to be very relevant to that. Very relevant to that very soon. But yes, absolutely. Like, knitting is like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we're able to do things at once. We can watch Netflix and make something, which is usually what I'm doing. I'm usually like, I don't Netflix and chill, I Netflix and make. All right, so let's talk about that. Because this was a big one that I hadn't thought about until people started saying it. And a lot of people brought this up, which was hearing from people the phrase, I wish I had time to knit. I wish I had so much time to do that hobby. I wish, whole category of phrases along those lines. The reason this is a problem, the reason this statement is like cringy is because the underlying sort of subtext of it is usually like, I wish I had so much like leisure time to do something so frivolous, right? It must be so nice to do something, to have that sort of time for yourself. And I'm just too busy. Let me tell you something. I live a very busy life. Okay? I work, right now, I'm doing a paying gig, which my work days are 10 to 12 hour days because I work in the entertainment industry. I do this. I am a friend, a sister, a mother, a wife, a me. I'm also a me. The point being, like, we find the time to do the things that we find valuable. If someone doesn't want to knit, if someone doesn't want to crochet, that's not their jam, cool. I hope that everybody finds some sort of activity that is their jam, that allows them to unwind, to relax, bring happiness into their lives. I feel like we all need that sort of outlet. Ours happens to be knitting. But it's this like sort of derisive notion of like, oh, you must have so much time on your hands. Maybe you could be doing something else with it. Something a little bit more, profitable. It's like we are allowed to do things, to just do them for the enjoyment of it, not to make a profit off of it. I say with my monetized YouTube channel. Oh, I wish I had time trope really butters my biscuits. Yes, yes. Again, you make time for the things that you find valuable, right? And if someone hasn't made the time to learn how to do one of these crafts, that's not what they find valuable. That's okay. But it's like, I'm not doing something trivial or frivolous. It's not like I'm sitting here knitting and eating bonbons and having people like wave fans at me. No, I just find the time, the 20 minutes here, the 30 minutes there, the hour after the kid goes to bed, to do the thing that I enjoy. And so do you. So do us all. But yes, it's not like, sometimes it takes effort. Sometimes it does take effort to sit there and go, I'm actually going to take a moment to relax. And we are allowed to do that. This actually leads me to the next trope, the next thing. And this one I've always hated, especially when I was doing a lot of seed bead jewelry, which is, oh my gosh, you're so talented, you should sell your work. Okay. First of all, there's so many layers to that one, right? First of all, the idea that most people would not pay the true value of a hand knit item. There was one point, actually a cousin of mine was like, you should sell your dishcloths. And I was like, I could never make enough dishcloths fast enough and sell enough of them to make it worth my while. Because really, I once broke down the cost of like how many hours it takes me to knit a dishcloth, and then like the cost, and it was like, to actually get a real profit out of it, it was something like $20 a dishcloth, which people are not going to spend. They're just not going to spend that, right? And so it's like, no. Plus, turning it into a job kind of takes the fun out of things, right? Like, the whole point of a hobby is not to do it for profit, and yet everything has become about having your side hustle. Again, I say, as with my monetized YouTube channel, Trust me. I have lots of feelings, thoughts about the wisdom of some of the things I've done in terms of taking my passion for knitting and starting up a YouTube channel. But the fact is, the main reason I did it is because I love knitting so much. I want to talk about it more with other people. And it was like, well, I'm putting in the time anyway. At least it could help cover some expenses. Well, that's the unspoken dream that you can guess at. But the thing is, it's just like, no, not everything that we make needs to be done for profit. It doesn't need to be made for somebody else. We can just have something that we enjoy. I'm noticing a theme here with so much of what I've been saying. We're allowed to have things that we just enjoy doing. Evie. People don't understand the impact of industrialization on the value of textiles. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's so much. I mean, I could go down a rabbit hole on this, but I was actually thinking about this yesterday in the shower, because that's where I do my best thinking, about how we just take for granted cloth. And look, when we're knitting, when we're crocheting, we are making fabric, we are making cloth. Even though it becomes like a specific object, like a hat, what we are doing is creating fabric. And we take it so much for granted because so many people are not part of the process in any way of producing that cloth, but it's so industrialized and people think it's all can be done with machines. And yes, knitting, actually there are knitting machines that can be done. Crochet cannot be done with a machine. If you see a crochet sweater, that has been made by human hands. There are no crochet machines. But we don't value fabric. And yet fabric is one of the technologies, and it's a technology. Making fabric, having fabric, this is all technology. A lot of it is ancient technology, but it is one of the technologies that has allowed human civilization to flourish because our own natural fur covering is pretty light. We wouldn't manage to survive in many environments without fabric. Whip insanity. I think it's an attempt to complement someone's work combined with being on everything's got to be a hustle economy combined with having no idea how much. I totally agree. I think that people, when they say, oh, it's beautiful, you should sell this, absolutely agree. I think a lot of times they intend it as a compliment, and that's generally how I try to take it. What's interesting is the reaction I get when I start explaining why I would never want to do that. It's a very interesting sort of reaction because sometimes it's shock that a hand-knit item would cost that much because people, again, because of industrialization, as Evie was pointing out, just don't understand the value behind what has been made. But yeah, but the pressure, what's hard is as well-intended as the comment is, what's hard is how it just sort of it takes a little bit of joy away. It's a bit of a joy stealer. And again, it's that idea, that pressure of everything you do has to be in service of profitability. That sort of capitalist mindset. It's draining. Katura. People tend to be surprised when they make statements like that to me. I don't sell my work. I don't make items on commission. I don't make items on request. I make what I want when I want to. Yep. Absolutely, and this actually leads to my next thing. And this was a really good statement from Louise Tilbrook. She was the one who first said it in my tweet conversation, which was, we need to ban the term selfish knitter. And I was like, or selfish knitting, or selfish crocheting, selfish making. And I was like, oh yes, 100%. And I have used that to describe myself at times, because I will be the first one to say that 98% of the things I make for myself. Literally for me to keep. I don't want to give them away. I have enjoyed making it. I want to enjoy wearing it. At least I just want to enjoy looking at it. That I went, oh, I made that. It makes me happy remembering that I made it. For very special people in my life, will make things for them. But you've got to be a very, very special person in my life to for me to do that. But it's not selfish to want to keep the things that we make. It's not selfish to want to just make the things that we want to make. you know. And don't get me wrong, if you're someone who loves making things for other people and giving them to other people, and that is the thing that brings you joy, that's wonderful. You're still doing the thing with your craft that you enjoy doing with your craft. It's more just allowing people to make the craft what it is they want it to be. With insanity, I wonder if it also might have to do with the fact that for most people, what they do with their leisure time looks a hell of a lot like doing absolutely nothing, e.g. Netflix. I think that does have a lot to do with it. I think that, there was a next statement. Therefore, when faced with someone who spends their leisure time making something, producing something, they maybe don't see it as a genuine leisure. I think there is definitely some of that. I think that's very possible. That it's, sorry, suddenly I'm thinking about Judaism and Shabbat, because Shabbat in Judaism is supposed to be a totally work-free day. Technically, I'm Reform, it's fine. But technically speaking, if I were to be Orthodox, if I was an Orthodox Jewish person, I would not be knitting during Shabbat, or making anything on Shabbat, because that is actually technically considered work. And we're supposed to take a complete day of rest. Of course, what that I'll let the Reform comment. Of course, what that overlooks is that for many people, making something is restful, myself included. And this led to something else, which is another comment a lot of people were making, I totally agree with, which is that, you know, it's sometimes other people, if you're with them and you pick up knitting, you start knitting, they think that you're ignoring them, right? They're not paying attention. And in fact, keeping my hands busy personally helps me relax, helps me unwind, helps me focus. Sometimes I get very antsy, and it's really hard for me to sit and concentrate. But if I pick up knitting, it gives me an outlet so that I can sit and listen better. And I think a lot of people who make things with their hands are like this, who have this tendency. But the other thing about it that I thought was so funny was people were really tired of the comment of, oh, you knit, you must have so much patience. And it was so interesting because they're like, no, I have patience because I'm knitting. This allows me to be to do this with you. I can do that because I'm knitting. So I thought that was really interesting, and I was like, yeah, that's me. I recognize myself in that. I can have patience because I am knitting, because I am crocheting. It's much easier for me if I'm on a Zoom with people, if I'm able to do something with my hands while doing it. Thankfully on a Zoom, I can keep it down underneath the camera and they don't necessarily see what I'm doing, because people take it some kind of way. They think that you're zoning out. And it's like, no, I'm zoning in. I'm zoning in with you right now. All right. It's almost 1. Let's see. Knit 1, Pug 2. That joy stealer goes along with the knit faster idea. I don't need to knit faster. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Yes, it does. It does. I mean, I think it's so interesting with the knit faster idea, because I think there are a lot of reasons why people will equate being able to knit faster means that you are a better knitter. I think that sometimes, a lot of times, people see it because they think that when you watch someone who knits really fast, like Hazel Tinstow, I think that's her name, it is kind of it's like watching an athlete. It's fascinating. It's like, oh my God. There's just sort of a wonder at the physical feat of it. And so then the assumption must be okay, I want to be able to knit like that. Now, just like an Olympic sprinter, you're probably not going to be able to, even if you enjoy running. I don't. But if you enjoy running, you're probably never going to be like Usain Bolt, because it's just physically don't have those skills. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy running at any speed. Same thing with knitting, okay? You don't have to be an Olympic speed knitter and to enjoy or be a good knitter. Your knitting still can be of quality at any speed. But I've gone on that rant so many times, and I will go on it so many more times. Yes, 100%. Patience is a skill you learn and practice. Oh my God, I need that on a needlepoint. And it's true. It is a skill that you learn and practice, and it's not always easy. It's not my best skill. It's really not. Well, it depends. You know, it's like anything, kind of depends, but it's not my best skill. Unless I have knitting in my hands. Okay, okay, it's almost 1. So I think that we're gonna have to move on from the topic. It was so much fun though! Because I do want to take a look at Hunter Hammersen, and I do want to show you the thing that I got and other things, but you know, feel free to continue in the comments discussing the tropes. But I've really enjoyed sharing all that with you and hearing your thoughts on it. And again, if you're watching on replay, you can still be in the conversation. Comment down below. Okay. Let me make sure I have this up. Okay, so I want to show you the thing that I got. I'm very excited about. Evie knows what it is. Evie knows what I got. So remember I told a story about my husband, if I said, I want to drive 2 hours to go get a thing. It wasn't 2 hours, it was 1 hour, but it was a 3-hour trip all around. So I got it recently in my head. I'm getting so shiny. It's because it's hot. It's really hot. I don't know if it's really hot where you are, but it's really hot where I am. I got in my head that I wanted to try weaving, and I had been obsessed with the idea. So I was like looking at looms. Yeah, Evie's all smiles because she knows what I'm about to show. I was looking at looms. I was like considering purchases. By the way, if you're interested in a loom, I'm going to plug my friend Evie. Evie has become a Shacked dealer. I'm going to, after this is over, I will put a link to her shop in the description. But anyway, and Shacked has a really cool new product out. But anyway, so this is what I got. I'm just going to show you now. This one. I got a rigid heddle loom. This is my new rigid heddle loom. That is not my project. The previous owner of this, it's used. The previous owner had started this project. But I have a whole vlog that I'm doing about going to get it and getting started with it. But I'm very, very excited because what I needed in my life was another yarn wrangling craft. But I have to say I'm really enjoying it. So I'm now adding weaver to my resume. I'm a very beginner weaver. But I'm adding weaver to my resume. But yeah, I was very excited about this loom. It is a 32-inch Ashford rigid heddle loom. And I got such a good deal on it on Amazon, not Amazon, on Facebook Marketplace, because what you don't see in this photo is everything that came along with it, because it came with like 2 7.5 dent reeds, a 12 dent reed, and a 10 dent reed, a bunch of stick shuttles, a bunch of things. And I got yarn as well at a discount. So I'm very, very excited about it. So I'm not saying I'm turning my channel into a weaving channel. I'm not. But I am saying that I'm hoping to expand, fully embrace the whole craft geek aspect of my name. Because I don't just knit. And, you know, Jen Beeb's so hot. And we really, really don't have the architecture over here in the UK. No, you don't. In the UK, do record highs of 37 tomorrow. Whew, Celsius. Yeah, I mean, at least I'm in Los Angeles where, you know, I have air conditioning and a pool in the backyard, which I thoroughly enjoy. But like, there comes a point where it gets so hot. Like this morning, actually in the middle of the night, I woke up and I was just drenched in sweat because I was so hot. It's hot girl summer happening. And like just hot, sweaty, uncomfortable. And I like warm weather. I'm a warm weather person. And I'm sitting there going, it's so hot, as I drink my hot coffee. Because I'm sorry, iced coffee, ooh, not my thing. Don't want to yuck anyone else's yum, just not my thing. Okay, so Hunter Hammersen, let's talk about it. Let's look at her work real quick, and we'll see what I decide to put in my basket, because I want to put some things in my basket. Oh, wait, Evie, I'm so excited for you. Weaving is such fun, a terrific stash buster. Yes, I can already tell. And here's why. I'll just tell you why I wanted to do this. I wanted to pick up weaving. I wanted to pick up weaving because I am obsessed with the idea of making my own hand towels. And even though I'm thoroughly enjoying this project and I'm glad I started and I'm going to finish it, I realized that knitting hand towels takes a really long time. And I was like, I just wanted to be able to weave some and weave my own hand towels and weave my own dishcloths. I mean, I knit my own dishcloths. I'm not going to stop knitting dishcloths. I'm just taking a little break from it, but I wanted to be able to weave some too. So I was like, I want to do this. Plus, I've done some tablet weaving. I want to do more of it. I really enjoyed that. Although I haven't been able to do as much seed bead weaving as I had done before having a child, I really love seed bead weaving. So I was very confident that this was a craft that I would enjoy. Like, this wasn't going to turn into like me during the days of trying to do polymer clay, which I enjoyed, but I realized just wasn't my long-term love, or some other things that I've tried over the years because I'm probably undiagnosed ADHD, and this is what I do. I taste crafts. But anyway, let's look at Hunter Hammersen and her catalog. So she is, actually first, let me get here and get to, no, I did. So we're gonna just look at her things. I'm running behind schedule for life. So Hunter Hammersen, she is taking most of her catalog and discontinuing it. So until tomorrow, everything's, from what I understand, is going to be 40% off. Did I put her tweet in the description? I didn't. I just put her pay up store. But she does have some really, really lovely, lovely work. Word of warning, though, about her patterns. It's not even a warning. It's more just like information about her patterns. Hunter does not put in needle size recommendations in her patterns. And I don't necessarily disagree with her because, let's just do this real fast. I don't necessarily disagree with her because the fact is, when it comes to needle size, it really depends on how you knit and your personal tension, what needle size to use. So she always feels like, I can't tell you what needle size you should use. But I know for some people that can like be a little bit of a skip in the brain. And so I just like to give that word of information about her patterns and her approach to pattern writing. But she has really lovely work, and she has some really cool, like, fun little things that she does that are like very whimsical and adorable and really good scrap yarn busters. But I don't know how much longer you're going to be able to get them from her. So we're going to just scroll through, and I'm going to say right now, what I'm going to do is, as I see something, I'm not going to buy everything I put in my cart, but as I see something, I'm going to just throw it in the cart so that I can consider it for later. And you tell me as we go through if you're like, Carrie, that's a must buy, or Carrie, no. Or, well, you don't have to tell me no, but you just tell me if it's a must buy. So I'm really digging these because you know I love a fingerless glove. And I just think like the swirl detail on this is so cool. Oh, God, that is so gorgeous. It looks like that is 1x1 ribbing, but it's just so unique the way she does it. And this is one of the things I really like about her work is that I feel like her stitch movement, the way her stitches is just very beautiful and different. It's very textured. But it's just really pretty. I'm adding that to the cart. I don't know. No, we are not going to be checking out right now. We are not done looking at her pretty, pretty things. Because we're looking at all the pretty, pretty things right now. Okay. Oh, shoot. Shoot. Guys, I did something silly, but it's okay. I starred the link to her work. I can't do it that way. Can't do it that way. Fudge! I hate when I do. Oh, you know what? Carrie, hello. Just use your history button. History. Should probably not be doing this. Oh, yeah, I screwed it up. Okay. Calm down. Everything's fine. Let me come back here and I will get back to her website. I accidentally closed it, but it's fine. I can get back. I just have to go to the history and find it. There it is. I thought it was like Etsy, because Etsy, you click on a product and it opens a new page, and I thought that is what had happened, but it wasn't. Okay, we're good. We're back. I fixed it. I am a professional. Control-Shift-T. Yeah, that is probably what would have worked. Thank you. I will try to remember that keyboard command. Control-Shift-T. Okay, so there's this here hatched, and this is like, she does all these little, or has done in the past, all these like little knit, and so she has these little eggs. She has one down here that's really cute, nested. These are so adorable. Like, just these little type projects. Tufted. If you really wanted an owl, tufted would be a good project. If you wanted a stuffed owl. Decorum. This is such a cute hat. And it has cables. It has actually one of my favorite type of cables, which is that sort of horseshoe kind of cable. But what I love, it has these little pointed, like, kitten ears. Although you can tuck them in too. Oh, it's so cute. The pointy bits at the top are optional. You absolutely can wear them sticking up, being all adorable as you go about your day. I think this is so cute. I love the little points. I love the little points. Although, here's the thing though. I personally really like a floppy hat. I admit, I want to see it on somebody's head. I like a floppy hat. I like a tam. Although I could just extend it. I could work this and just work some repeats before I got to the crown. It's so adorable. The crown too, the kibble kind of almost feels like it's gonna fold over the top of the head. I'm gonna just add it to the cart because I'm not committing to purchasing it at the moment. I'm just adding it to the cart, and I can decide later. That's the fun of it. That's the fun of what we're doing. I don't know if you ever do that. Sometimes I like to window shop online, and the way I do it, I go through and I just look at things, and I just put it in the cart. And I'm not going to buy most of it, or maybe not even all of it, any of it, but I just put it in the cart so that I can look at it and decide later. And that's why I window shop online. Let's see, compartment, another fingerless glove that has some cabling is really cute. Stochastic. I'm really curious how she does this color work. Let's click and find out more. Stochastic. Oh, look, maybe you're currently working on something breathtakingly intricate. Something with beads and cables and lace and 6 different colors of yarn. I'm reading right now her description. And if you are, that's great. I'm happy for you. I hope you adore what you're working on. But I kind of need to just knit. Just make one stitch after the other, no counting. It looks like this is a, I wonder if I can, are those little just bits of yarn kind of woven into the hat? I'm trying to figure out what, I'm reading through the description, trying to find more information. It's quick and easy and yet somehow deeply satisfying at all three, and I'm still sort of wanting to make more. Work a brim. There are 3 different. Then sit back and knit in beautiful meditative stockinette until you come to a colorful stretch of yarn. Work a tiny bit of magic. Then go back to the stockinette. Keep clipping along like that. Huh. It's really, I'm really just wondering how. I love the swirl on the crown. That is beautiful. Such a gorgeous crown there. That is just a gorgeous crown. I'm adding it to the cart. Adding it to the cart. I want to know what the magic is. I want to know what the magic is. I really want to know what the magic is behind that hat. I have a feeling the only way I'm going to find out is if I purchase the pattern. Hitherto, that is a cute beanie with a little like lacy textured detail. It's sort of mirrored in henceforth, the fingerless glove. You have a little bit more of the fun little pattern with the hearts. So if you want to knit some hearts, just have decorative, like a little house decoration, that would be cute. You could also string those hearts together and make like a little garland. Dispatch, which looks like knitted envelopes. All these little tiny, oh, this one's a good one. All these little tiny knits are so adorable from her. And then there's but this one is the one this is so great for Halloween. She always says that her little tiny knit projects are absurd, and they are. I like to think of them as sublime, but they serve no practical purpose. You can't wear them. They are tiny, and if you try to scale them up to human size, it'd be way too floppy. You cannot do anything even remotely useful with them. But they're so adorable, these little tiny knitted hats. Like they're little gnome hats that you could put in. They're just little gnome hats. They're so adorable. So if you're in this, again, such a great use for like remnants of yarn and scrap yarn. And you could have these for Halloween. I always feel like all these little tiny knit projects from her, you can always string together like for garland and stuff. So adorable. If you do them in like fall colors, they could be little like, if in the United States, little Thanksgiving, decorations. So cute, so adorable. Am I gonna purchase it? No, I don't think so. As cute as they are, it's not really my kind of knitting. I'm gonna come up here back to the top and I'm gonna look at socks because oh man, it's fine. It's fine. I was supposed to wrap up already, but I'm not ready to wrap up. But I want to look at the sock patterns. This is, I really kind of dig this. This is so different. Again, when I was saying how I really love her stitch movement and texture, it's this kind of thing. I love that. Are your feet cold? Yes. How about we do a little something about that? Woolly socks are always a good start. I'm just reading her description. I just adore how these look like flames looking at your feet. They're not hard at all. The stitch pattern is just ribbing and stockinette shaped with a cleverly placed increases and decreases. It's very logical once you get started. They are, and this is one of the things I do love about knitting is how you can create these really impressive motifs that look so complicated, but really are not. And I feel like that's this kind of stitch pattern. And I'm looking at the heel. I'm guessing that's a short row heel. I'm guessing. That could be a flap and gusset. It's a flap and gusset heel. Yeah. Or, yeah, I can see the line of decrease there. So that looks like a flap and gusset heel. Nothing wrong with flap and gusset. It's just not my favorite to work. It's not. I mean, I like flap and I get the appeal of flap and gusset. It's just not my favorite. So I need those and the owl and fox so I can put hats on the owl and fox. Yes, that's such a good idea. I'm going to be honest, Evie, when I saw the little curly Q hat, the little hats and scrollments, I thought of you because of Evie has a video where she makes a felted, like, fantasy cottage gnome hat. It's adorable. So impressed. And you should check out that video. This is the Evie Stan channel, by the way. If you didn't know that already, this is the Evie Stan channel. Oops. Okay. I feel like I'm losing light. So yeah, we're gonna add those to the cart. Just gonna add them to the cart. Let's see. Oh, we're at $34 already, but it's 40% off. So again, I'm not saying purchasing all these patterns. Remember my last live stream was all about how there are too many patterns. This is one of the reasons I'm really fascinated by what Hunter Hammersen is doing, which is really reducing her catalog that's available for sale, because I think it's a bold move. And I think in a lot of ways it's a smart move about having fewer. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how that works for her. I hope it works out great. I think it would be great if designers didn't feel pressure to have so many patterns available. One of the things that she said in her blog post about it was that part of the reason she decided to make this change is because like 80% of her sales were from 20% of her patterns. So why not focus on the ones that were kind of bringing her the most success? And I was like, that's so smart. That is so smart. Oh, let's look. More socks, more socks, more socks. What other socks? It's just immediate. Oh, I love this. I love this. Tantamount. I love a pattern, a sock pattern that just has like a single detail up the side, even though it's making a left and a right sock, and like tires, socks wear longer if you rotate them between your feet. I still love it when there's just a detail, because I think this kind of detail, it gives you just like that little bit of, oh, it's so pretty, that little bit of interest to the knitting, right? But it's not so complicated. Like there's nice stretches of the sock that's just really like simple knits. And somebody else has thought it out for you. Again, that looks like a flap and gusset heel. Tantamount. Reading her description. I hear again and again that you folks really love basic socks, but basic socks just enough of a twist to keep things interesting. Isn't that what I was just saying? Is that what I was just saying? I'm adding that to the cart. I think that's beautiful. I love it. So yeah, we're gonna just put it in the cart, and we'll you know, make decisions later. I don't need to say it every time I add something to the cart. It's okay. I can stop now. All right. Let's see. Second page of socks. Oh, these are really pretty. Loosh. Those are gorgeous. Another fun. That looks like another just almost like a faux cable. Just using increases and decreases in a ribbing to create this wave is what I'm guessing is going on there. Although it has that interesting border detail. Ribbing, stockinette, and an occasional increase or decrease. That's all that's going on here. Yep. This type of, you know who else does this type of thing with using like mock cables, increases and decreases is Liz Quirk. There's actually a lot about Liz Quirk's work and Hunter Hammersen's work that I find very similar. It's the same kind of like this stitch flow movement that I just think is so gorgeous. I love that she brings this detail of the ribbing down the gusset. Is that? I think it is. I'm not positive, but I believe that heel is a German band heel, which is a really interesting heel. I should do a video on it because it's a flap heel with no gusset, and the way you use math basically. But what you do with a Hunter band, a German band heel. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I hadn't put that big, but it's fine now. What you do with a German band heel is you work a flap. But as you work the flap, you do a certain number of decreases along the flap. And then when you do the turn, the heel turn, it's short rows, but you do decreases. And when you get done, you pick up all the stitches and you end up with the same stitch count at the end of the heel as you did before you started the heel. And so you have no gusset. There's no decreasing to create that gusset in a German band heel. And it's a really fun, clever way to use at least a flap heel for color work, because you don't have to worry about your stitch count because you end up with the same stitch count before and after the heel. Unlike a flap and gusset, because in a flap and gusset heel, you end up with more stitches after you pick up all your stitches, and that's why you do all those decreases, is to get back to the same number of stitches you had before the heel. So a German band heel is actually kind of fun to work, but it does usually require some math to figure out how you have to do all of your decreases and stuff so that you end up with the same number of stitches at the end as you had at the beginning. If all that makes sense. So there's some math. So people don't always love the math. I like the math. I like math so much better as a knitter now than I did when, oops, wrong one. There we go. I like math much more now as a knitter, but let me get this in the big, so you can see that better. The bigger one. So yeah, we're gonna add it to the cart. We're gonna add it to the cart. Just gonna add all the socks to the cart. Oh, louche. This is a very lacy, this diluvian. I'm gonna be honest, I don't love lacy socks. I always feel like they're going to wear out so fast. Guys, truckle. Oh, this is so up my alley. Oh, I love this so much. I love this description. A few years ago, I caught some sort of plague. I thought it was flu. I ignored it. It turned out to be pneumonia. That was much harder to ignore. It knocked me flat. Eventually, after many attempts to avoid the issue, I gave in and realized I needed to actually rest. So then she made these socks after resting. I love this. I love this motif. It's just so pretty. It sings to me. There's these little waves. I love it. I just love the look of it. Oh, so pretty. Adding to the cart. Adding it all to the cart. It's all getting added to the cart. Not everything. Everything is obviously not getting added to the cart. It's so interesting because I'm sitting here going, wow, is this one of the patterns that'll never be available? Or, well, I can't say never. She could change her plans. But is this like going to be a pattern that I may not be able to get anytime soon again? Do I need to grab it now? And do I need to worry because it's 40% off anyway? So those are all the socks. Let's look at brioche really quickly. And then I think I have to start wrapping things up. Let's look at the brioche. Oh, brioche knitting. I haven't done enough brioche knitting. I know how to do brioche. I've done a couple of brioche patterns, but I always feel like I love brioche, and yet I never work enough of it. I would say that if you've never done brioche before and you want to give it a try, this Inklings hat and this Intimations fingerless glove would be really nice introduction to two-color brioche knitting because you're not doing any motifs with the brioche. It looks like it's just, I hate to say basic. There's nothing basic about brioche knitting, but it is like just straight brioche knitting. You're not creating any motifs with it like you would with this Pretend fingerless glove or with the hat. That's a little bit more advanced, but if you want to get a taste of brioche, Inklings and Intimations would be really good patterns to grab. Yeah. So, but I don't think I'm going to add these to my carts. So I don't know how many hats and glove pages there are. Forthwith is cute. Ari put post haste and decorum in my cart and stochastic because I'm dying to know what the magic is. Sorry, I keep getting alerts on my phone. Ooh. Plicat. I remember when this came out. This pattern, when this came out, was actually on Fiber Happenings. And it's a slouchy hat, but she did this thing with it where she put basically some kind of line of yarn to sew in how it could slouch. I'll read her description. You can see here the way that it is sort of pleated here at the back. I like slouchy hats. I actually kind of love slouchy hats. They are absolutely adorable on other people. On me, I always worry I'll do something wrong when I put them on and I'll look like I put a potato sack on my head. So I decided to fix that. I made a hat where you can lock in just the perfect amount of slouch when you finish the hat, and I'll just say, it'll stay just like that, all on its own, forever. No matter how many times you shove it in your coat pocket or toss it in the back seat of your car. So if you are like Hunter and you like a slouchy hat, but you worry about keeping the slouch just right, you might like this pattern. But I remember when that one came out, and I was like, oh, that's so clever. With my slouchy hats, I don't know. I don't worry too much. I don't like the hat just like being like a sausage casing around my head. I always feel like with my hair being the way that it is, which is pretty curly, that the way it sticks out is. But I love this Miss Prisian, noun, concealment of knowledge of a felony or treason. interesting name. I'm guessing, before I read the description, I'm guessing this is some kind of slip stitch pattern. I could be wrong, but it's very intriguing. This textured pattern. Oh, it's slip stitch. I'm sure of it. So I love seeing everyone else's beautiful, intricate, multicolor masterpieces. I do. But if I'm being totally honest, the idea of making my own scares me. I've never quite gotten the hang of proper color work. And if we're being super honest, I feel a little scared combining colors too. A lot of people have that. Let me know in the comments, do you want me to do a video on combining colors and color selection? I've always intended to do one. I just haven't sat down and planned it out. But if I see a lot of people want me to do it, it will motivate me to do so. But this I can do. I'm reading the description again. But this I can do. All you need is a nice, bright, respectable background yarn, which is the light color yarn, and a slightly flashier contrast. Then you just sit back and let the stitch pattern do all the work. And I'm pretty sure this is a slip stitch pattern. It's really lovely. Nice swirl crown. Yeah. And doing slip stitch color work is so easy and approachable like this. It's such an easy way to add color to your work with slip stitch patterns, and they look so impressive. But it's so nice because with slip stitch color work, you don't have to carry two colors at once. You just carry one color. You just work one color, one row at a time. Yes. Is that yes to doing a video on combining colors? I feel like I didn't do my lighting right today. Anyway, sorry. Obsessive, technical, squirrel. So this is really pretty. These are really pretty. I'm being suckered in by the color. I can just tell you that right now. But I just don't think, I love it. I love the look of it. I don't think it's one, though, that I'm kind of like this collusion. I love these names: collusion, entrapment, misprision. So slip stitches, the super easy thing where you just slide a stitch onto the other needle without really doing anything to it. Well, this hat is what happens when you decide to take that idea and see how far you can take it. It's very cool. It almost looks like a cable, right? The way the slip stitches are done. Oh, this one's really neat. I actually really, really dig this. This is awesome. This is such a great hat. Add to cart, done. Done. Adding it, done. Okay, I'm running out of steam. And she has literally hundreds of patterns. So I don't think I'm going to be able to look at all of them with you today. But that is a look at some of Hunter Hammersen's work. I hope you enjoyed it. I have certainly enjoyed adding all of those to my cart. We will see which ones you like. You know what I'm going to do? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take all the patterns that I put in my cart, and I'm going to maybe create a bracket. It's not going to be very long because I got to make choices by tomorrow. But I'm going to put together a bracket. And you guys can vote which ones you think should win. I think that could be fun. We'll do a Hunter Hammersen bracket. Okay, so that is time to wrap up. It is time to wrap up. Okay, so what do I have coming up this week before I wrap up? So my next video I do plan to have out next Saturday, which will be me answering what I think are very common knitting questions. I think it'll be a fun video. I don't know if there will be dramatic, doom music. I went a little over. If you haven't watched it yet, my latest video is up, and it is my swatch of horrors. Dun, dun, dun. In the middle of it, I made a swatch with a bunch of mistakes on it. In the middle of shooting the video, I started calling it the swatch of horrors, and I just ran with that in the video. I had a lot of fun editing that video because of it. If you haven't watched it, check it out. I don't know if I'm gonna have the same kind of fun in my next video, but we'll see. We'll see what inspiration strikes me. I'm still editing it, but yeah, my next video is going to be about common questions in knitting that people have. And I cover things like whether or not you count the cast on row, whether you count the stitches up on your needle as a row, Why does your stock neck curl? Things of that nature. So very common dating questions, especially if you're a beginner, but even when you're an experienced sitter, still you have questions. Then I'll probably have my vlog of me getting my me getting my rigid head loom. So that will probably be in a couple of weeks because I'm still shooting it. I'm still shooting it because I'm still working on practicing basically with the project. Like I said, when I got the loom, the previous owner had started a project, decided it wasn't for her. So the project was still on the loom, and I got some very good advice to just treat it as an opportunity for me to practice doing plain weave. I think I lost my internet. I'm back. There we go. I'm back. Okay. My internet is giving up life, so I've really got to wrap this up. But anyway, so I'm still working on that vlog. So yes. Thank you, Evie. I loved your swatch of horrors. Great info and laughs. I try to make it fun. So yeah, that is it for me this week. If you haven't already, please make sure you do the YouTube things, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. After the live stream, if you're watching a replay, after the live stream, I'm going to put in the timestamps. I'm going to put in my affiliate links because I haven't done that yet. If you leave me a tip through SuperThanks, or right now in a super chat, or through my Ko-fi, or if you utilize one of my affiliate links to do some shopping so I can earn a little bit of a commission, thank you so much. It's greatly appreciated. It really does help support my channel so I can keep doing this. Because yes, we still live in a capitalist society. Can't fix everything. I can fix a drop stitch. I can't fix capitalism, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here with me right now, or if you're watching the live stream. Thank you so much. Again, you can always be part of the conversation by commenting down below. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day. If you're watching right now, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend and it's a wonderful week ahead of you. And keep an eye out for the next live stream, which will be sometime in August. Okay. Yeah, I think that's everything. So as always, happy health and happy making. Bye.